Billie Eilish, The World's a Little Blurry. Streaming exclusively on Apple TV Plus February 26th.
As I'm trying to keep up with new releases this year, I do want to try and include more documentaries in my watch list. I think one of my biggest regrets in covering movies is I've fallen behind on my documentary watching. And I started off great this year with MLK FBI, so now let's check out what Billie Eilish is doing. Eilish is one of those musicians where I've heard bits and pieces about her and how, like, her relationship with her brother and her various, struggles with fame and her own, her own health issues. And her music I've always found fascinating, this sort of dark, ethereal, electronic style. It's kind of almost emo to it, the way it sounds and some of the lyrics. She's a really interesting musician, and so I was interested to see what a documentary would help illuminate more about her and where this style, where this person came from. And for a good chunk of the movie, that is what we get. Before delving back into the usual music documentary trope of concert footage, I think one of my biggest issues with music documentaries is that they essentially serve as concert films. They don't really provide any backstory on the artist, and whatever little there is just surface level. It's mostly just a means of exploiting the fans. I've heard that about the BTS documentary. I know that from the Justin Bieber quote-unquote documentaries. Their music documentaries seem to feel more like press releases, not so much like informative digs into the artist's life. And I was kind of disappointed that that's what we got from here, because I always got the feeling that Eilish was much more honest, not so flashy, not so, not so that, like, I was expecting a documentary about her to be more honest, and we did get good honesty. We did get some good backstory into where she came from, but then as the time went on, it just felt like concert. Here's her meeting fans. It's just, and sometimes it plays into it, but a lot of the times it just feels like it was just a way to pander to fans again. And I just feel like that's disappointing, considering I really was interested in learning more about Eilish. But what we did learn was really interesting, specifically her relationship with her brother Phineas and how they kind of created this sound together. He helped produce the music, he helps with writing lyrics, and they really are a collaborative duo when it comes to this, even though she's kind of the face of it. And their sort of relationship, how it's their teenage, and that's the thing, is that we're dealing with teenagers. The movie, one of the opening scenes of the movie is Billie Eilish getting her driving permit. And yeah, this is we're dealing with that age. So there's a lot of angst, even if it's not over anything in particular. There's just this sort of, I guess the thing is that Phineas, I kind of got the idea that he was a bit high on himself. Like there's one scene early on where the dad compliments a song that they were working on by comparing it to another song. And then Phineas goes off and like, it's not like another song, Dad. And it's like, dude, shut up. Get over yourself. Yeah, you're writing a decent song. You're writing a good song, maybe even a great song. Sorry that your music sounds like, I don't know, other music. Yeah, Phineas came off as a very pretentious twat at points, which he was a teenager. I don't know how old he is now, but God knows I was like that too. So I get it. It's just, as an adult, I'm looking back on that now and I'm thinking, get over yourself. You get, I don't know why I'm using so much British slang. I don't know where it comes from. I don't even watch that much British TV. The other thing you really notice, specifically from Phineas, but a little bit from Billy, is that they have this very driven personality. Phineas specifically will want to do this, get this right, do this thing. And that could be very easy. I don't know how much it was exploited by the record companies once they actually got picked up, because we don't really get into that part of it now, do we? Because by that point, we're just dealing with concert footage. But that sort of mentality can drive a lot of burnout if you're not careful. And you do kind of see bits and pieces of it. And there is even a couple of guys there at one point telling Phineas that, dude, no pressure. You don't need to push yourself. There's not an issue here. And we never really get to explore that a bit more. Although Billy, we do see, suffers a bit of physical issues. She throws her neck out and gets shin splints during a concert. One time in Milan, she accidentally sprained her ankle. And like, she's a teenager and she's getting all of these injuries just from basic performing, like not even elaborate performing. Like, Billie Eilish isn't doing dance numbers the same way that like a Beyonce or an Ariana would do. She's doing fairly basic dance numbers, if you can even call them that. They're just, a lot of jumping and, nothing too elaborate. And yet she's still getting these injuries and doing her body's, some harm. And I think that's why it's better that sometimes she's more stationary. Sometimes, she'll sit down, do more acoustic stuff. And yeah, I think that's good because you don't want to damage your body so much, especially at such a young age. And so when it covers that aspect of her performance and her struggles as an artist, that's interesting. And then it'll just cut back to just concert footage and feigned screaming. And it's like, after a certain point, you can't help but feel like you're being pandered to. It's like, hey, look, hey, look at you. This is just like you screaming and yelling at Billy. Isn't she the greatest? And it's like, sure, she's great. Yeah, I like her as an artist, but give me more of her. That's why I wanted to tune into this. This isn't a bad documentary by any means. I've seen way worse. But in terms of teaching me more about Billie Eilish, who she was, where some of this stuff comes from, it kind of digs a little bit into it, but never really too deep. Like, we don't get fairly deep under the skin when it comes to that before it just delves back into the usual concert video, PR stuff. It feels like it doesn't feel like we're really learning about Billie as much as it's more like a fluff piece. And I'm kind of sick of those kind of documentaries, Like, I want to know about this. And not everybody is willing to give that kind of information. But why I don't want to tune into a documentary and get treated to press releases and concert footage,